interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Have you ever wondered why the news plays the same 5 stories again and again? Let me give you a little hint. Brainwashing and repetition is the most basic form of brainwashing. Join me as we look at the news cycle and talk about why the mainstream media is so gutless and afraid to report the truth. Good day and welcome to Conspiracy News with Michael Strange. We're back. We're back to talk about all the things that the mainstream ignores. Why do they ignore it? Just like I said in the intro. They don't want you to think about these things as possibilities, as different world outlooks in the way you live your life and the way you communicate with other people. That's why they ignore these things. Again, you know, they're reported, of course, but they're not reported by the mainstream outlets, and they're not hammered in 5 stories a day, 24 hours a day. If you don't know what I mean, and I'm pretty sure you know what I mean, just go turn on CNN or Fox News right now. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. They'll spend all damn day hammering one point, and the reason is they want to make sure everybody hears it, right? Because if everybody hears it, it's in the collective subconscious, and everybody knows it. Okay, so that's the whole point. That's why we do it this way. It's a decentralized form of news. It's actually kind of curated to talk about some of the things that don't get really touched on and kind of fleshed out and really discussed like they should. So that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. And did I mention we do this live? We do this live to include you. So actually, crap, I didn't start my timer. Damn it. See? All right, here we go. Starting my timer. Everything is like a clockwork over here. You have to be on exactly the right schedule, because if you're not, the producer gets on your ass. And you know who the producer is? That's right, me. That's right, me. All right, here we go. If you want to be part of the show, we do this live to include you. 702-957-1037. That is the official phone line of not only this show, but also Troubled Minds Radio. That's the paranormal and conspiracy show we do at night. That's Tuesdays and Fridays. So if you want to be part of the show right now, this number is live, 702-957-1037. And troubledminds.org is the official website. So and that number is persistent, by the way. I just got a voicemail from somebody that's gonna be a guest on the show coming up. So I'd play it, but he leaves his phone number in there, and I was about to. I was like, oh sweet, we can play this as a teaser for a show coming up, but no, because he left his phone number, and so we'll have to edit that out, and then we'll play it on an upcoming show here. But yeah, pretty good stuff. It is persistent. If you want to leave me a voicemail, we can play it on another show. Or just if you leave your phone number for a callback, just leave it at the end of the message, so I can just snip it out easily. I would appreciate that. Otherwise, I'm doing audio work. But that's okay. Work is part of the equation here, so it's no sweat. I'm not tripping if you're not tripping. Okay, so one more time, 702-957-1037. Slow down, Mike, troubledminds.org. And we're going to go to the news. We're going to do the news today like we always do. This is a news show, and it's just a way to decentralize the news and kind of talk about it with you, basically with you guys, and get together and discuss this type of thing. So that's what we're doing, and we're going to start right here with The Guardian. So this has kind of been the watch for the last, weeks, months. But the judge finally ruled on the Julian Assange extradition here. So this is reported by The Guardian today, and this just happened. This was at maybe 3 or 4 in the morning today when this actually hit Pacific time. So headline is this: Julian Assange cannot be extradited to the United States. British judge rules. Interesting, because let's read some of this. I figured for sure, just because of political pressure, they were gonna extradite him, but apparently not. So here we go. Julian Assange will make a fresh bid to be released from prison on Wednesday after a British judge ruled that he cannot be extradited to the U.S. to face charges of espionage and of hacking government computers. lawyers for U.S. authorities are appealing against the ruling at the Old Bailey, which rejected arguments that the WikiLeaks co-founder would not get a fair trial in the U.S., but blocked extradition on the basis that procedures in prisons there would not prevent him from potentially taking his own life. Assange will appear on Wednesday at Westminster Magistrates Court in West London for a new bail application, where his legal team is expected to refer to conditions at Belmarsh High Security Prison in South London against the backdrop of the worsening COVID-19 pandemic. Legal experts say they would be surprised if bail is granted, given Assange's categorization as a flight risk. So wearing there we go. Okay, blah, blah. That's probably the most important details here. So they're not going to extradite Julian Assange to the United States, interestingly. Like I said, I thought for sure this was going to happen, but apparently it's been stalled, and appeals, of course, are doing their thing, and they're going to be appealing and doing all the things that they normally do. And, of course, we're still waiting to see in the final days of a potential Trump presidency here if he might pardon Julian Assange. So still waiting for that. Lots of things kind of still at play here. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Dolly, what's up? Says, yeah, we don't want Assange did not kill himself meme. And I think that's kind of, I think actually it'd be the opposite. I think they'd probably try and keep him from killing himself. Only because they want to really make an example out of this guy, right? So, I mean, who knows, though? Who knows? You can only begin to start guessing what's going on behind the scenes at the highest levels of power. So, I mean, those things, again, speculation. We can all speculate. Again, we have the right to be wrong. Don't forget that, guys. We have the right to be wrong, and that's why we do this show, and that's why we talk about these things. Because we're not sitting around waiting for some political analyst, some asshole to tell us what the news means. We are able to read it and determine what it means to us as individuals, okay? And we're allowed to be wrong there. So just a reminder, I want everybody to realize that's what's really happening here, is that we're being told what to think about the news and what to think about politics and what to think about the rest of this. And I reject that entirely. I reject it, and I don't care what Brian Stelter says or Sean Hannity or any of these assholes. I don't care. I don't care what they say. Fine. I can learn something from them. I think you're stupid if you turn it off and completely don't try and learn anything. I think you can learn something from everybody. But literally getting on their horse, on the bandwagon, whatever it is, no, not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because they're lying propagandists, and that's the truth. That's the truth. They leave out details. They spin stories. They do what they do. Okay, just we're allowed to be wrong. I want to make sure that's clear. Okay, all right. So here we go. And with that, with all of that said, let's keep on moving. So, what do you guys think about Julian Assange? Again, this is live. We're taking phone calls. If you have a take on Assange, I'll start asking for calls early, because I know that this is one of the ones that is kind of a hot button issue for a lot of people, because there's a lot to really talk about here with what he does, and whether you think he's an asset or do you think he's a danger to the community at large. Who knows? But I want to hear from you. 702-957-1037 and troubledminds.org, and that's the official website. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there, and get in here and join us. All right, so from Julian Assange, let's go to this. Now, this is a weird one. Now, oddly enough, we talk about China quite a bit on this show, and you know why we do is because nobody else really does. You turn on the mainstream and they talk about Russia all the damn time, but conveniently they seem to leave China out quite a lot. Look at this one. This is weird. So in the West, if a billionaire goes afoul of the government, basically the government kind of can't do shit about it, can they? That they can maybe tack on some fines or whatever. You can't really do anything. So basically in the West, the billionaires run the country, right? All right. So check this out. This is from BusinessInsider.in. Where is Jack Ma? Questions arise about the billionaire's whereabouts as Alibaba faces scrutiny from the Chinese government. And now this is one of those ones that's a little bit strange, because you would expect, right, these billionaires are going to be closely tied to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, and you would think that they would be able to get away with whatever they want, right? Well, I guess the CCP has different ideas. So here we go. Jack Ma, the Chinese billionaire currently under scrutiny by the government of China, has reportedly not been seen in public for several weeks. This has led to speculations that Ma could be missing. According to recent reports, Ma was scheduled to appear for the filming of his own talent show, Africa's Business Heroes, but was instead replaced by another Alibaba executive. The Chinese e-commerce giant told Financial Times that Ma couldn't appear on the show due to a conflict in schedules. Jack Ma's whereabouts have come under questioning at a time when his companies, Alibaba and Ant Group, have increasingly come under scrutiny in China. Alibaba and Ant Group, founded and guided by Ma, are currently faced with an antitrust probe for alleged monopolistic practices. And, okay, so interestingly, China suddenly cares about a monopoly. Isn't that weird, right? So the thing is, he's been speaking out a little bit against the Chinese banks. Here we go. In the bottom part. So Ma came under intense scrutiny after he publicly criticized the Chinese regulators and called the country's banks pawn shops. Mortgages and guarantees are for a pawn shop, but if we go to extremes in relying solely on collateral assets, certain enterprises will pledge all of their assets, and the pressure for them is enormous, he had said in October of 2020. And so, of course, right, you do that, and what's up? I see there, Believe. So if you do that and you cross the Chinese government, I think it's pretty clear what happens, right? So not only is he missing now, is he in hiding? Is there something else going on here with this and Alibaba and the CCP? But not only that, so he criticizes the Chinese banks. He's a billionaire in China that supposedly should be able to get away with what he wants. But now China is concerned about a monopoly, so they're actually going after his company with the government, the full power of the Chinese government. So it kind of tells you, like I said, if you don't play ball with the CCP in China, they'll come get you, and they're proving. So you remember Hillary Clinton, and she would say, "No executive too big to jail." Well, China lives by that shit. if you go after China, then yeah, they're going to come after you, and so that's really the way it is. And so pretty scary stuff here. So not only that, right? So not only are they coming after him in an antitrust lawsuit for monopolistic practices, right? When of course you have to be closely tied to the CCP to succeed in China anyway. But this is also notable here. This is from Twitter, and this is tweeted by Business Insider India, which is where this article came from. Let me link it. So the scrutiny came down heavily on him after Jack Ma had gone on to publicly criticize the Chinese regulators and had called the country's banks pawn shops. Ma, who once held the tag of wealthiest man in Asia, has seen his net worth tumble. So figure that out, right? He was one of the richest people in China, and now suddenly, and one of the richest people in the world, of course. But now suddenly he finds himself missing. Now is that actually missing? Like maybe kidnapped, detained, maybe Jamal Khashoggi? Who knows, right? Like who knows what's going on with that? Maybe I would think he's smart enough to understand that he's probably at huge risk, and he's probably in hiding, would be my guess. But again, you go afoul of China, and these are the things that happen in the world we live in, right? Once again, this is not making this shit up. This is not fun and games. This is the world we live in, and somehow again we're supposed to pretend that all this is normal and all this is fine, and we shouldn't worry about human rights or governments coming after companies because they speak out against them. And who knows? Maybe this ends up tragic for this guy, and he ends up missing for good, right? I mean, it's things like this have happened before in the past in different capacities, whether it's politics or whether it's commerce or whatever's going on here. Private sector, it's ugly. This is ugly stuff. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on this as it develops, as typical of us. If something changes here, we'll talk about it. If it's worth talking about, there's so much to get to that it's hard to get to all of it. I think that's the craziest part, right? There's so many interesting things to talk about that we have a hard time getting to everything interesting, except the mainstream media plays the same 5 damn boring ass stories over and over again. So anyway, geez. All right, here we go. Let's keep on moving here. This is from The Guardian. Love that Guardian. I tell you what, great journalistic outlet. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean. All right, this is a little bit nuts. Squatters issue death threats to archaeologists who discovered oldest city in the Americas. Now, again, this is the type of stuff going on in the world. Illegal squatters have invaded the ruins of the oldest city in the Americas and made death threats against Ruth Shady, the celebrated Peruvian archaeologist who discovered the 5,000-year-old civilization. The threats came via telephone call and messages to various workers at the archaeological site at the height of Peru's COVID-19 pandemic. They followed reports of the police and prosecutors about the invasions of the ancient ruins of Caral. And actually, there's okay, never mind. That doesn't go anywhere. They had a link. I thought maybe it would tell us more about this archaeological site, but it's not. Okay, so they called the site's lawyer and said if they continued to protect this individual, the Ruth Shady, that they would kill him along with me and bury us 5 meters below the ground, said Shady, aged 73. Then they killed our dog as a warning. They poisoned her, as if to say, look at what will happen to you, she said. Okay, now when we're talking about death threats, that's one thing, people sling death threats around like there's something else or whatever, but there's more here. Now you start killing dogs. Now we got a problem. We got a big problem, right? Now we got you kill my dog, we got a problem. I'm not going to forget something like that. All right, so this continues. It is not the first time Shady has been threatened or attacked. In 2003, she was shot in the chest during an assault on the 626-hectare archaeological complex that was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2009. After 9 invasions of the sacred city during the pandemic period, Shady and her team repeatedly asked the authorities to intervene. There is a feeling that there is no authority dedicated to the protection and defense of our heritage. It's a huge worry, she said. And in July, squatters using a heavy digger knocked down adobe walls and tore up the ground, destroying ancient ceramics, tombs containing mummies, textiles, and household remains, before police and the site staff were able to stop them. As a result of Shady's pleas, a police car now patrols the archaeological site day and night, but nothing has been done to punish or evict the land invaders. The squatters are believed to belong to a single extended family and claim the land was given to them in the 1970s during Peru's controversial agrarian land reform, which was pushed through by a leftist military dictatorship. Shady denies the claim. Quote, they do not have a single land title. The owner of the land is the Peruvian state. And here we go. Land. Interesting that the archaeological sites have been handed over to a family, and they think that somehow, I don't know the full details. Of course, the devil's always in the details, right? But interesting and curious that this is happening, and death threats and a dead dog. Like I said, once the dog ends up dead, things got real, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Let's see. Dolly, what's up? Says China government can take any Chinese businessman asset whenever the country needs it, and that's exactly right. Going back to that Jack Ma, right? And so again, if he's missing, he's smart enough to know that he's probably on the run. I would really doubt unless he underestimated the CCP. You got to know he understands all that. You got to assume anyway. What's up? Ark says that. Yeah, the Guardian is a very entertaining newspaper. Yes, very entertaining. Very entertaining. That's a good way to put it. Okay, so let's see. What do we got? Time-wise, I think we're good. Let's play this quick little blurb, and then we'll keep on rolling here. Little blurb being this. Are you digging the show? If so, you can support us quite easily and at no additional cost to you if you already have an Amazon Prime account. Since we stream on Twitch every day, all you have to do is link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and they give you free games on a monthly basis for your personal use, and also a bonus $5 a month to send to your favorite streamer as a way to bring more people to Twitch. And all you have to do is sync up the 2 accounts and click subscribe. Thanks for considering us. All right, there we go. There's a quick blurb commercial to save us some time. And all right, so here's an interesting one. I saw this. Now I like to cite this stuff all the time because it is important for context, right? Because clearly we the way we politicize information today in modern times is we just clearly leave out the context, because if you do that, you can make everything seem like a ridiculous emergency. Now, don't take what I just said and apply that liberally to what we're going to talk about here in a minute. But it's a macro example of what I'm explaining here. Now let's go to this. This is on Twitter, okay? And this individual, I don't know who this is. I just see this stuff pop up on Twitter from time to time. Yinon Weiss, Yinon Weiss, at YNONW. And it says he's an entrepreneur, previously founder of Rally Point, alum of Harvard, UC Berkeley bioengineering. Okay, so anyway, with that said, he said it took a Freedom of Information request, but the COVID-19 data in the UK acquired 2017 to 2019 averages for England hospitalizations. Okay, we're talking about the United Kingdom. He said 2020 had 18% fewer hospitalizations than prior years. All right, so, and then he continues down here, and he actually cites the source in the tweet just below. Yeah, I linked it. Okay, so if you guys want to actually pull up that spreadsheet, I did pull it up and look at it, but it's a lot of data, and so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna spend a ton of time going through this, but I think he's making a decent point regarding the numbers. So on this graph, as you can see, at the very top here, the average of hospitalizations, National Health Services in England, the general and acute hospital beds occupied, and that's from 27 to 2019. The red line is on top. That's the average of the 17, 18, and 19. Okay, those 3 years. But now if you look at 2020, it seemed to track, and then suddenly it dipped. And it still is quite a bit lower, as he says, 18% lower in 2020 than the 3-year average prior. So I think there's something to be said here for some type of alarmism, some type of and again, like I said, don't get me wrong, like conspiracy news and all that. Like I'm not denying any of this stuff as being real. What I am saying is that it's interesting how media outlets and governments seem to over or under report particular things, and as a result of that, try and make us believe things. And so I think you can take a good a good example in recent times is if you look at Dr. Anthony Fauci, right? And how, in March he said, well, there's no reason to wear a mask because if you wear the mask, then do I have it here? Let's see. Do I actually have it? No, I don't think I have the clip. But he did say it. I have a clip of this. You can find it if you dig really hard. They've pretty much removed it for the most part from the internet. But he said a mask will not help you. He said you can't do it. Like you can try, but it may block he said it may block a droplet. Quote. That's what he said. All right, and so he was saying that, and even there's some studies that seem to suggest that with a mask you're touching your face more and doing this and doing that, and so it kind of negates whatever bonus you might get from the droplet you might block, So this is what he said. Remember back in March on 60 Minutes, right there for the whole world to hear. Turns out he changed his mind, and now everybody has to wear a mask. Okay. But again, I'm not here to debate whether you should or whether you shouldn't. I'm here to point out and explain why people don't trust individuals like this and where this information comes from, okay? It's the same situation when he said, now he's saying, well, to get herd immunity, 60% of people need to be vaccinated. And now he changed his mind recently. It's 70% and it's 80% and it's 90%, right? And so basically he knew if he came out and said, everybody has to wear a mask in March, then the medical providers couldn't have them. You couldn't get them, all right? He knew that, and so he lied. He lied against his actual medical opinion, which was people should wear masks, just precautionary, that he lied. He lied. He flat out lied because he wanted to trick people into doing what he said and not what he actually thought they should do because of other reasons. And now the same thing. If he came out and said 90% is what we need the vaccination rate to be at, then that sounds an awful lot like mandatory vaccination, doesn't it? So people would freak the hell out, and as you would expect, rightly so, right? So I mean, there's, and he keeps changing, and this is the expert. These are the experts we listen to, and they basically change things to get the best political traction out of it. You see, so even when a doctor comes out and says the expert and says these things, can you trust it? I think that's the problem, right? We're told you have to trust the experts, but then you get the experts that supposedly tops in the world for epidemiology and the rest of this stuff, and he's lying to us. He's flat out lying to us because if he tells us the truth, he doesn't believe we'll do what's best for us. So he has to lie to us to get us to do what he thinks is best for us. You see, like there's a really big problem with this, and this is what these are the types of things that spawn conspiracy theories. This is not my fault. This is not your fault. This is the fault of the people that send the information without caveats and just flat out lie to get you to react how they want you to react. And again, this is the world we live in. And so back to this just real fast. 2020 had 18% fewer hospitalizations than prior years, than the 3-year prior average, 27, 28, 17, 18, and 19. All right. So what can you say about that? I don't know. Right. Of course, there's caveats and there's additional data and there's a lot of things to talk about. But I think just in and of itself, what's that mean? Yeah, you tell me. You tell me. Let's go to outer space. Too much of that. Let's go to outer space. Ars Technica. Let's go here. All right. This is reported by Ars Technica, as said, and SpaceX may try to catch a falling rocket with a launch tower. At first blush, it sounds insane. All right, let's read some of this. To build a fully reusable launch system for its interplanetary Starship vehicle, SpaceX has had to solve myriad technical challenges, such as slowing the massive spacecraft down as it re-enters Earth's atmosphere at near orbital velocities. But perhaps the biggest challenge, as always with rockets, is fairly mundane. Its mass. The goal with a rocket is to build the lightest possible vehicle with the greatest amount of performance. In theory, it sounds simple, but in practice, containing volatile liquids at high pressures is anything but simple. And with a fully reusable launch system, SpaceX has added the challenge of building vehicles that can withstand the rigor of launch, perform in a vacuum, and then return screaming through the atmosphere to land back at sea level pressures. They need to build them light, strong, and adaptable vehicles that sometimes lead to interesting design choices. At the end of 2020, SpaceX founder Elon Musk took to his favorite social network, Twitter, to share one of them with his followers. We're going to try to catch the super heavy booster with the launch tower arm, using the grid fins to take the load, he said. The super heavy rocket, likely to have about 28 Raptor engines, will launch Starship into Earth orbit. Yeah, at first blush, again, this sounds insane. How do you catch a falling rocket with the launch tower? And why would you risk the valuable launch infrastructure by attempting to land a massive rocket right on top of it? Yeah, there you go. There's a modern what would you call it? I don't even know. Modern rocket building, I guess. Okay, so one answer to that question is mass. So the company's Falcon 9 rocket first stage uses 4 large landing legs made from carbon fiber and aluminum to stabilize the vehicle as it touches down. Although made of these light materials, the combined mass of the 4 landing legs is still about 2 metric tons. The legs for the much larger super heavy booster would likely need to be several times larger, perhaps on the order of 5 to 10 metric tons. So, etc. So on. This goes on a little bit further, explaining how this is working or supposed to work. And I don't know. It does sound a little bit insane, doesn't it? SpaceX may try to catch a falling rocket with the launch tower, with the actual launch tower. Yeah, Elon Musk, the engineering, that's the word I was looking for. Modern engineering, here it is right here. Building rockets, taking them to the moon, and everywhere else. Pretty nutty stuff. Okay, let's see. Where we at time-wise? Let's see that. Subtract that, carry the 4. Yeah, all right, I think we're good. Okay, so let's go to this right here. No, let's skip that one because... Actually, let's go to you. If we have anybody that's interested in a take on this, any show feedback, you want to say hello, any of the rest of this stuff, just give me a call, 702-957-1037. We'll put you right on the show. You can go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And Troubled Minds is also the alternate podcast we do, which is on Tuesday and Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific. You can catch us live straight on the website, troubledminds.org. But you can also find the phone number there, which is a Las Vegas area code where we're streaming from. And you could also find the Discord link. So if you haven't joined the Discord, that's the best way to get the latest information regarding the show, meaning that if we get banned off of one particular platform because we talked about the CCP once too often or what have you, you get my point, that you'll be able to find the up-to-date information, the fastest straight from Discord, which is where I'm most active, and I'll be able to let everybody know what's going on over there. So one more time, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Join us over there if you have not. And 702-957-1037 if you want to give us a call and give us your take on it. This Elon Musk stuff, the catching the falling rocket with the launch tower, it does sound bonkers to me, but what can you do, right? I'm not the engineer. I'm just a guy on the internet, knucklehead on the internet with a microphone. Okay, so let's see. We talked about Julian Assange extradited. We talked about Jack Ma going against the CCP, and the CCP coming back, punching back, and now he's missing. Talked about the squatters at the archaeological site that are giving death threats and killed the dog. Bad news. And then just a quick recap. The Freedom of Information request that came out of the United Kingdom that said that the 2017 to 2019 averages for England hospitalizations are actually 18% higher than in 2020, which is the pandemic year. So again, right, interesting stuff to talk about and interesting things to think about. And why has the data been spun the way the data has been spun? What are they trying to tell us? What are they trying to make us do? And again, the conspiracy theory is not on us. It is on them for giving us contradictory information all the time. They're not just telling the truth. I think that's the biggest problem. If you don't tell the truth, you get conspiracies. So anyway, let's take a quick break here at about the halfway point, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk about climate change. One of my favorite topics. We will. Let's see. You're listening to Conspiracy News with Michael Strange, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back to Conspiracy News with Michael Strange. We are talking about climate change. At least we are now. So let's get into this just a little bit. This is the type of stuff that really gets my goat. All right. Again, talking about contradictory information, scientific consensus, talking about the press and the media, even talking about Greta. Right? Greta would not be happy. Greta is not happy with me right now. This is from InsideClimateNews.org. All right, and this is today, or actually January 3rd. So yesterday. But headline reads this. Many scientists now say global warming could stop relatively quickly after emissions go to zero. That's one of several recent conclusions about climate change that came more sharply into focus in 2020. What's up? I see you believe. I see you there. I ain't gonna read that, man. I ain't gonna read that, but I hear you. Okay, so here we go. Now this is a brand new, right? This is a kind of an in-depth article, and they're talking about new things they've learned about the climate in 2020. All right. So and of course, let's just spin over just a little bit of this so you can see where this is, where the kind of this article is coming from, and then I'll read the conclusion to you, and you may be surprised. I was a little surprised, but okay, here we go. So the La Nina effect, right? So we have El Nino, La Nina. How it's every several years it's either a little bit cooler, a little bit warmer naturally. So they learned that this was a little bit different. The global climate cycle from the cycle usually is strongest about 3 or 4 months after the ocean cycle peaks. So the full effect won't be known until next year, said climate scientist Stefan Ramstorff. Okay, there we go. There's that. The polar breakdown, right? They're looking at the similar rate of warming in the Antarctica, and found that since 1989, the average temperature of the South Pole increased about 0.6 degrees Fahrenheit per decade, also 3 times as fast as the global average. Okay, et cetera, and so on. Swamped by the seas. Talking about the now this is curious because I followed this actually with the sea level rising, right? If you go look at that, by most data accounts, there's actually just a 3 millimeter sea level rise for as long as we've been able to measure sea level rise, and it hasn't really changed. But according to the alarmists, you might think differently. Actually, got a call in the caller queue. Let's go to this real fast, and then we'll continue talking about climate change. What's up, Axel? You're on Trouble Minds with Mike. How you doing, my man? Or sorry, with Conspiracy News, whatever. You there, buddy? I think maybe.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, what's up?
No, I'm here.
Okay, cool.
I just had my I was muted. I figured I'd call to talk about the COVID story briefly, if that's okay.
Sure. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be the guy that says I don't know, kind of made up. Like this is I read that thread when it came out. This is like buried a little deeper in the same thread. Like overall hospitalizations are down, but their like critical care capacity is way over where it has been in previous years. And so it's not so much like there's no beds, it's that there's no beds for people that need critical care.
Okay. All right.
Because you have to think, like, hospitals are normally basically full because, you know, at the margin, if you go to the ER and they have a bunch of space and they have a bunch of staff that aren't doing anything, well, their inclination will be to, in a borderline case, admit you and like keep you overnight or whatever. But, you know, if staff is tight or space is tight, they'll tell you to go home. And so it's not that shocking that utilization's pretty consistent. Like, there's a lot of studies that show that. But evidently the problem is that they don't have enough staff and critical care beds for people. I'm not so sure about the English situation. I know that some places in the US, like in LA, it's like getting very, very bad. And like, they're not even like bringing people in for like heart attacks anymore because like they really have no space. But that was like later on in that same thread.
Okay, so again, I want to thank you for that because, again, like I said, this is why we do it live. We want to hear from you in the chat. We want to hear from you guys because we can't really get to a good understanding of what the truth is from reading these articles and these things because people do spin them. They leave out particular details, which goes back to my same point talking about Fauci and how he changed his mind on masks and how he changed his minds on herd immunity. I mean, all of that still stands, and it is all true. But so my point is that the reason why conspiracy theories are born, let's say dangerous conspiracy theories, is because of the data we're getting from the press and from the government. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can agree with that at least.
Yeah, wasn't it? I thought it was kind of common knowledge that the reason why they were, I mean, this was what I thought at the time, or I read at the time. They were telling people not to wear masks at the beginning was because they thought they were going to run out of them and they were trying to conserve them for healthcare workers. But instead of telling people that, they decided to go the route of telling people just they didn't need to wear them. Yeah. And then once that got solved, they switched to everyone should wear them. I mean, maybe there's a reason to do that. I do think it's really nuts, though, that you would keep the same guy in charge of saying both things. That part doesn't make any sense. Like, if you felt you had to lie to the public about not wearing masks, and then you should at least resign, and somebody else should be the person telling us to wear masks.
Right, exactly. Like somebody's got to take the fall for that. But again, this guy's been entrenched in Washington for forever. The guy's 80 years old. He just turned 80 years old on Christmas Eve, and he's been there since the AIDS epidemic, and prior to that, it's been forever. This guy's been in government. Yeah. So
well, that's all these government people on both sides of the aisle. The most important thing is that they're the ones in charge. That is them. Even though, there's like 100,000 people that could probably do Fiduci's job. That's, right. But it's got to be him because, that's the important part.
Right. So then when people argue against a deep state, it's like, no, there's a fucking deep state. These people are the deep state. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're not gonna catch me arguing against the deep state, my friend.
Yeah, no, of course not. But again, see, now this is the thing, right? So Axel and I met kind of on contentious terms. I actually accused him of being a Chinese spy, which clearly he's not. But this is what I mean. We can disagree, we can be stupid to each other, and we can still be friends. We can still talk about these topics and the information and share and become smarter together. And I think, again, transparency is an important thing. I thank you for the call. I thank you for always keeping me straight when things are off like this, because that's what we need to do.
Well, just real quick, do you really think they grabbed Jack Ma or not?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's possible that, like I said, for him to be so stupid at this point that he didn't take precautions knowing they might be after him, I think he might be in hiding. I think he may have been smuggled out of the country already, something like that. That would be my guess at this point.
All right. Thanks for taking the call.
You got it. But what do you think? Do you think they grabbed Jack Ma? You can't just leave me hanging with that.
Oh, I mean, my gut feeling is no. I think if they would have nabbed him, they would have announced it. They would have drummed up some charge against him. They would have arrested him for corruption or bribery or something. I think he's probably just laying low because they bounced. There was like a merger that Alibaba was doing that got bounced by the CCP. So they're cracking down on his business. I think he's just staying out of sight.
Okay. We'll watch the news and we'll find out. So my bet is he's smuggled out and you think he's laying low. We'll see what happens. Axel, you were the man. I appreciate the call.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. There you go. If you guys want to be on the show, it's as simple as that. You can dial the phone number, 702-957-1037. I met Axel on Twitter, as I met many of you folks online doing this show, and I've met a lot of smart people. And as you can tell, right there, pretty easy, right? Pretty easy to get on the show. Tell me what you think, and I'm not going to chew your head off or make you look like a fool and hang up on you, and like the rest of these guys try and do. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to actually talk about why these conspiracies happen, why the media does what it does, why the government blatantly lies to try and make us do things that they could just tell us the truth about, et cetera, so on. So that's all. That's really what this is all about. One more time, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and Axel was on Discord right there. So it works both ways. So you can dial the phone number or jump in the caller queue on Discord. So, okay. All right, let's go. Let's see. Lots of good chat. I see you guys out there. Thanks for the chat. Let's keep going with this climate change bit for just a sec. Now, I want to make a larger point about this climate change. So, like usual, right? I'm not really a micro guy. I'm more of like a macro guy. I kind of see what they're telling you, kind of look into the details here and there, but I think you can get a very definitive picture in many cases just based on what the media is reporting and what the government is kind of echoing, right? Because they definitely work together. And I think by watching it close enough, in many ways you can kind of tell what they want you to believe, right? Through these lies. So anyway, just real fast, just going to burn through this climate change article real quick. I'm going to put it back up there. Thanks again for the call, Axel. You're the man. Very good stuff. All right, so there is the thing here. Okay, so now let's just burn through this and get to the conclusion of this, and I can get to the goods. So, okay, making it stop. Now, this is so of course they have to go through and they have to tell you all the scary stuff, right? Because they and then they bury the headline, they bury the lead, right? Here it is. So many scientists say global warming could stop relatively quickly after emissions about the California wildfires. Every time they happen, they say, oh, it's unprecedented. We've never burned this much of California down in one season. And then you go look at the numbers, and yeah, they have quite a lot. And it's not even close to like unprecedented. So, but then they get to blame it on global warming, right? Or climate change now is the term. Anyway, this continues. There is less warming in the pipeline than we thought, said Imperial College climate scientist Jory Rojeji, a lead author of the next major climate assessment from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Quote, it is our best understanding that if we bring down CO2 to net zero, the warming will level off. The climate will stabilize within a decade or two, he said. There will be very little to no additional warming. Our best estimate is zero. The widespread idea that decades or even centuries of additional warming are already baked into the system, as suggested by previous IPCC reports, were based on an unfortunate This is the best part. Now, okay. I'm going to read this slowly. The widespread idea that decades or even centuries of additional warming are already baked into the system, as suggested by previous IPCC reports, were based on an unfortunate misunderstanding of experiments done with climate models that never assumed zero emissions. What happened? Did they take us down? Did they take us down? What happened? They took us down. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to leave this up for just a sec because I want to make sure it's clear here. So yeah, are we back? Are we back? What happened? They got us, Mike. What happened? That's funny. Okay, I'm going to allow that message. All right. Okay, let's see. Lots of good chat. I guess we're back. I said too much, says Believe, but yeah, maybe. We're back. All right. Okay, we're back. All right, hit the refresh. I'm going to read this one last time because this is critically important. If they took us offline because of this, fine. It's critical that you hear this. The widespread data, we're talking about climate change here, the widespread idea that decades or even centuries of additional warming are already baked into the system, as suggested by previous IPCC reports, were based on an quote, unfortunate misunderstanding of experiments done with climate models that never assumed zero emissions. All right, so even assuming, close to zero emissions. Emissions, not admissions. Emissions close to zero, then we should be good, right? I mean, So again, so this doesn't fit the climate alarmist narratives. Okay. Now I just want to point out just a few things as we continue through this. Now this one is from the web archive from March 20th, 2000. All right, check this out. Now, it's not the first time we've been taken off the internet for something we said, guys. So I'm not tripping. It's whatever. All right. So anyway, here we go. This is now snowfalls are now just a thing of the past. And this is Monday, March 20th, the year 2000, 20 years ago. All right. Let me read some of this from the year 2000. And this is exactly why people don't trust the data we're given to work with, because it's all spun and full of lies. And sure, maybe there's truth to this, but holy shit, how do you expect us to take all of the data that's all contradictory with all the political narratives baked into them, and then all the lies on top of that, and then the talking heads on TV, and then the government information? It's all dumb. It's dumb. And then a conspiracy theory pops out about global warming or climate change being a way to bring in socialism, Marxism, and then it's a conspiracy theory, right? I don't know. Well, why do you keep lying about it? That's what I want to know first. So anyway, here we go. From March 2000. Global warming, the heating of the atmosphere by increased amounts of industrial gases, is now accepted as a reality by the international community. Average temperatures in Britain were nearly 0.6 degrees Celsius higher in the 90s than in 1960 to 1990, and it is estimated that they will increase by 0.2 Celsius every decade over the coming century. 8 of the 10 hottest years on record occurred in the 90s. All right, this continues. Now, again, this is from March of 2000. However, the warming is so far manifesting itself more in winters, which are less cold than in much hotter summers, according to Dr. David Viner, a senior research scientist at the Climatic Research Unit, the CRU, at the University of East Anglia. Within a few years, winter snowfall will become a very rare and exciting event. Now, right here it says, now again, from March 2000, guys, children just aren't going to know what snow is, he said. All right? Right? Children just aren't going to know what snow is. And these are from people with presumably PhDs. And they work, exclusively, or at least in part or in large part in climate science. And we're getting statements like this. Children just aren't going to know what snow is. All right. And again, so you read a little bit more of this. Now, the effects of snow-free winter in Britain are already becoming apparent. This year, for the first time ever, Hamleys, Britain's biggest toy shop, had no sledges on display in its Regent Street store. It was a bit of a first, a spokesperson said. Fen skating, once a popular sport on the fields of East Anglia, now takes place on indoor artificial rinks. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. Blah, blah. All right. So let's just jump to this one real fast. This is, let's see, as regarding UK snowfall. Let's go to today. This was 20 years ago. All right. Now here we go. Since snow is going to become a thing of the past, let's look at the news from today. This is from theexpress.co.uk. UK snow forecast. 25 inches of heavy snow to blanket UK in hours as polar bomb strikes. This is today. Yesterday. January 1st, 2021. So you get the point, right? You get the point. So in in the year 2000, 20 years ago, they said snow is now a thing of the past. 20 years later, 25 inches of heavy snow to blanket the UK towers. And, I understand both are exaggerational OMG type of situations with reporting and science and clickbait, but you get what I'm saying. So now if you go back further, another one, actually, not further to the year 2000. Let's go to the year 2013. And here's another one from the Sierra Club Canada. This is, again, so we're looking at web archives. These are no longer up, of course. You have to go back into the Wayback Machine and look at the archives of these because they've been taken down. Why have they been taken down? Because they're bad predictions. Just like in Eschaton, if you're a preacher out there throwing holy water on everybody, telling people about the end of the world, and you miss, you're like, oh, shit, the end was supposed to happen on Friday, and it didn't happen, right? Well, of course, you change the story. Right? You're like, oh, my calculations were off. We didn't take into account Nibiru coming into the the solar system, whatever. Right? Anyway, so from the Sierra Club Canada, written by an individual named Paul Beckwith, March 23rd, 2013. For the record, I do not think that any sea ice will survive this summer. An event unprecedented in human history is today, this very moment, transpiring in the Arctic Ocean. The cracks in the sea ice that are reported in my Sierra blog and elsewhere have spread. Worst news is that this very moment, the entire sea ice sheet, or about 99% of it covering the Arctic Ocean, is on the move. And we think weakened ice cap has literally begun to tear apart. This is an abrupt climate change in real time. All right, this is from 2013. Why Arctic sea ice will vanish in 2013. You get the point. Has anybody seen anything recent regarding our Arctic sea ice vanishing? It's 2020. Just saying. Okay, again, and I'm not. Listen to me. Please listen to me. I'm not refuting that any of these things are not real. Okay, that's what's going on here. What happened? I guess we got the phone line got taken down too. Shit. All right, let's dial this back in. Okay, so all right. So the thing is this. I just want to make clear that because I'm being a critic of these things, it doesn't mean I'm saying they are not real. I'm saying that the information we get, and it's contradictory, and the alarmism and all the dumb stuff that they say, just like the Fauci example from earlier, how they lie to us to get us to do what they want us to do, not because it's the truth, but because they think it's the best way to make us do something that's in our own best interest, which, of course, we wouldn't be able to do that ourselves with the truth, so they have to lie to us. So you understand? It's the same thing as the Fauci thing and the masks and the whole bit and the herd immunity. It's the exact same argument, okay? So just tell us the truth. But of course, the truth wouldn't spur people to have a mental health crisis like poor Greta, right? Like we did an article a couple days ago talking about children and how they're actually having mental health crisis from this. They go to school and every day they're told the world is ending if we don't do something right now. The world is ending if we don't do something right now. Hey, did you hear me? The world is ending if we don't do something right now. You understand? Like it is so wrong to do this to children, and this is what we're doing. And again, why? Who's lying? Why are they lying? What are we covering up? And again, just trust us with the real information. Okay? Anyway, just want to make it clear. We're not, a conspiracy theory doesn't mean you believe that in all the conspiracies, okay? It doesn't mean that. It means that there is a conspiracy in everything. No, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. This is important to get right. Don't fuck this up, Mike. It means that conspiracies are everywhere, and that is true. But it does not mean that everything is a conspiracy. And that's an incredibly important distinction to make, okay? So I just want to point that out. They're everywhere, but that doesn't mean everything's a conspiracy, all right? So it falls on us as concerned citizens of the world to be able to differentiate these things, to actually parse the data and ask the questions, and that's what we're here doing. So anyway, let's play this quick little blurb and then finish up the final segment. We got some of the good stuff to talk about, but here we go. Are you digging the show? If so, you can support us quite easily and at no additional cost to you if you already have an Amazon Prime account. Since we stream on Twitch every day, all you have to do is link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and they give you free games on a monthly basis for your personal use, and also a bonus $5 a month to send to your favorite streamer as a way to bring more people to Twitch. And all you have to do is sync up the two accounts and click subscribe. Thanks for considering us. Okay, so with all of that said, we are back. That's how you can support the show. This show is actually a marketing endeavor, so we'll see how that works out. I think it's going to work out just fine. So 2021 is going to be a good year. You guys will see. So there we go. We got some great comments on the chat. Thanks for hanging out and having fantastic thoughts about this. Believe says ban CO2, plants starve. Yes, and that is completely true. That is completely 100% true. Let's see. Other good comments. Dolly says climate change is another business scam, but that's my opinion. Yeah, it's okay. And again, right, we're allowed to be wrong, especially given all the misinformation that we're fed on a daily basis, and the media being lying shysters they are, and all the rest of this. It's just not good. It's just not a good situation for us to be in as we try and figure out what the hell is really happening. Okay, so let's continue with some news. 702-957-1037. 877 you want to be part of the show, you can hop on and talk to me and whoever else might be listening. And troubleminds.org, click the Discord link and join the Discord. All right, let's go to this. This is from the BBC, everybody's secondary favorite news source because, well, it's the BBC. All right, they report this. We just talked about this happening in the United Kingdom recently. They're going to have, Boris said, huge lockdowns, right? Tier 4 lockdowns, the country over. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Here we go. Same thing in Scotland. COVID in Scotland. Scots ordered to stay at home in new lockdown. Yeah, right? Here we go. First Minister Nicola Sturgeon said new curbs would be introduced at midnight in a bid to contain a new, faster-spreading strain of the virus. And here it is. It's the faster-spreading strain of the same virus that, again, like I said, we have an awful, terrible case of deja vu right now. Because last year, around this time, or maybe March-ish, we were having the same sorts of reports and conversations, right? Okay, here, check this out. New laws will require people to stay at home and work from home where possible. Outdoor gatherings are also to be cut back, with people only allowed to meet one person from one other household. Places of worship are to be closed. Group exercise banned, and schools will largely operate via online and remote learning. These rules will apply across the Scottish mainland until at least the end of January and will be kept under review. Island areas will remain in level 3, but Ms. Sturgeon said they would be monitored carefully. Okay, terrible deja vu. All right, here we go. Some other good stuff happening with China. All right, this is what's up, Austin Fresno. I see that I'm Quebec. Work from home is already the law, and everyone loves it. Yeah, right. Until you're not allowed to leave. It's a different thing. This is from Euronews.com. This is pretty sweet. China's Mars probe Tianwen-1 expected to enter the red planet's orbit next month. All right, so this is the probe has flown in space for 163 days and is currently around 8.3 million kilometers from Mars, according to the China National Space Administration. The flight marks the start of the country's independent planetary exploration mission. The probe is flying faster and faster as it gets out of the influence of heliocentric gravity, explained Li Zhenkai, the deputy commander of the project. At present, the speed is basically stable around 22 kilometers per second relative to Earth. That means that the probe is covering about 1.8 kilometers per day. Is that right? That doesn't sound right at all. The spacecraft consists of an orbiter, a lander, and a rover. It's expected to touch down on Mars in May 2021, about 3 months after arriving in the red planet's orbit. The distance between Mars and Earth changes periodically from 50 million kilometers to its nearest and 400 million kilometers at its farthest. So there we go. So this is it's happening. China's going to be on the red planet on Mars, and with this Tianwen-1. Like I said, this was announced years ago, and they started with the Chang'e missions to the moon, and now they're doing these Tianwen missions to Mars. So exciting times, right? Like, may you live in exciting times. Pretty crazy stuff here. And as with that said, let's go straight from China in space to space.com and this headline. War in space would be catastrophic. A return to rules-based cooperation is the only way to keep space peaceful, says Stephen Freeland and a couple other guys that wrote this 1 day ago. All right. In 2019, U.S. President Donald Trump declared space is the new war-fighting domain. This followed the creation of the U.S. Space Force and a commitment to American dominance in outer space. Other spacefaring nations and those who fear the acceleration of an arms race in space were greatly concerned. At the last meeting of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, states noted with alarm that preventing conflicts in outer space and preserving outer space for peaceful purposes is more necessary than ever. No shit. No shit. Oh, you mean we don't want to turn regular terrestrial war into orbital war? Yeah, okay, thanks, geniuses. The election of Joe Biden as the next U.S. president and Kamala Harris as vice president suggests there is cause for hope. The future of space may look more like the recent launch of NASA's SpaceX Crew 1 mission to the International Space Station. All right, I just had to get to that line because I thought that was really, really, really funny. So are you writing about space or are you writing about politics? Just asking. Okay, anyway. Speaking of politics, let's go to the Hill. Now, as many of you know, there's a lot of talk politically about people meeting in the in Washington D.C. for the January 6th shindig. I'm just going to call it the shindig because that's what's happening. They're gonna count the electoral votes. They're gonna try and ice in the Iceman, Joe Biden, as the president, the next president. Trump has got his eyes on some other shenanigans, and they're estimating between 2 and 4 million people. What I heard on Fox News, but I heard it on Fox News. And again, I do watch both CNN and Fox News just to see what the hell they're saying, so that what they're saying I could not talk about because I don't want to echo the same bullshit they're saying. But anyway, so National Guard troops are being activated in Washington, D.C. this week as thousands of President Trump supporters are expected to arrive in the nation's capital to protest the results of the presidential election amid Congress's certification of the Electoral College vote. The D.C. National Guard said on Monday that roughly 340 personnel will be activated for support in the city from January 5th through 7th as local officials respond to the scheduled pro-Trump demonstrations on Tuesday and Wednesday. The agency said its members will be assisting with providing crowd control at local train stations and helping police with street closures. So, yeah, there it is. There's what's going on. It's when the Trump supporters show up, it's everybody freaks out because they're just terrible people, and Orange Man bad, and they bring the guns, and they're pro-gun people, and that means clearly because there's 300 million guns in the country, everybody's going to get shot, and so we have to activate the National Guard. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Many people are, I think, QAnon still hanging on to this. I think there's still a lot of people that are gripping tightly to this as the last hope for the Republic. I do think regarding this that there's the election shenanigans. There definitely were a bunch, but I think every election's dirty. Just for context, too, guys. Like I always say, context is important. Everybody remember JFK? JFK actually won an election against what was the guy's name? Nixon, and it was widely considered that election was dirty as hell. Nixon actually won, but the JFK team JFK was able to steal it. So go check that out. It's in the history books, guys. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, these things happen all the time, and everybody's acting like they have this super short-term memory. And for some reason, this moment right now is the Civil War. I just don't buy that. I think there's a lot of stuff that needs reform, but I think that's always the case. And I don't know. It's unfortunate that with the our representatives don't see it the same way because they're too busy trying to undermine the Constitution in every turn, et cetera, so on. So anyway, and that is true. I think all that is definitely true. So okay, here we go. Let's see. Well, let's just finish it up with this, and then we got a couple more, but we can just add them on tomorrow. Okay, so thank you for the great call, Axel. Appreciate it. Definitely good stuff going on here. If anybody has comments and you want to squeak in here at the end of the show, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website of this show, Conspiracy News, and also Troubled Minds, which is the companion show. And you can, tell me what you think. Just say hi. Whatever. It's all good. We're all fine here now. It's all good. Okay, now we're going to go to this. This is from phys.org, P-H-Y-S. Astronomers agree. The universe is nearly 14 billion years old. Well, now that we can agree on something, 14 billion years old. From an observatory high above Chile's Atacama Desert, astronomers have taken a new look at the oldest light in the universe. Their observations, plus a bit of cosmic geometry, suggest that the universe is 13.77 billion years old, give or take 40 million years. A Cornell University researcher co-authored one of two papers about the findings, which added a fresh twist to an ongoing debate in the astrophysics community. The new estimate, using data gathered at the National Science Foundation's Atacama Cosmology Telescope, the ACT, matches the one provided by the Standard Model of the Universe, as well as measurements of the same light made by the European Space Agency's Planck satellite, which measured remnants of the Big Bang from 2009 to 2013. So the research paper was published in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle physics. So again, the lead author says that the cosmic microwave background power spectra at 98 and 150 gigahertz, and some other minutia that I don't really want to get into because we don't have time. But there's the article if you guys want to look into this. But I thought it was interesting that at least we can agree on something, and the scientists agree, astronomers agree. We have a scientific consensus. The universe is nearly 14 billion years old. And you know why this isn't being wrestled with Sean Hannity and Don Lemon? Because they can't politicize it. That's why. Because there's no way, no how, no matter how you spin or stretch this or lie or cheat or steal, you cannot politicize this. And that's why it's just news. It's just what it is, right? We have a scientific paper. People are starting to maybe agree. And of course, we're going to have some people that disagree. It's fine. It's part of the process here. But holy smokes, guys. Holy smokes. We can finally agree the universe is nearly 14 billion years old. Until it's not. Until somebody else writes another paper. What's up, Believe says, biggest threat in space? Trash. Yeah, it could be. And we talked about that, actually. Japan's making wooden satellites. Check it out. I'll give you the little short on Discord if you want to check that out. We talked about Japan starting to create wooden satellites to deal with the trash in space. So when their orbit decays and they start actually re-entering the atmosphere, they'll burn up properly and not leave weird chemicals in the atmosphere and stuff. So anyway, there's people looking at these problems, and thank goodness that everything isn't all stupid conspiracies all the time. And there are people trying to do good things in this world. But we're gonna keep pointing out the inconsistencies, keep pointing out all the garbage, keep pointing out all the propaganda, and hopefully just talk about a real news cycle and how these things should be. So anyway, again, in my vision, but this is the thing, I have you guys, all right? We have each other, and so if you have information you want to share, you want articles that I want to talk about, join the Discord again, troublewines.org. Click the Discord link. Share me these articles. We'll talk about them. I've got a couple guests, apparently, that we're trying to line up here for the coming show on Troubled Minds. So I don't know how soon we'll get these guys on, but we got a Bigfoot individual who actually called me back today, which is kind of cool. So and then we got another one from Gbis there that hooked it up in Discord. So we got some stuff happening here with some interesting Troubled Minds folks to be on and talk about the universe and talk about cryptids and Bigfoot and all kinds of things. And that's what we talk about, and that's why we do it, because nobody really does, right? And yeah, that's not true. Some people do. Let's just say, in my opinion, they don't do it that well. So we're doing it. What's up, bots? Yeah, I want to become famous. Not really. Not really. Can you imagine being famous? No. Anyway, so we're done. At the end of this, I want to say thank you to the folks that have subscribed to this channel, the folks that have supported this channel, the people that watch this channel, the people that contribute with the phone calls. Thank you, Axel, again for the phone call today. Thank you, Chantel, for the phone call yesterday. Thank you, Joe from Florida. Thank you, everybody. You guys know who you are. There's too many lists. We'd have to go for an hour here calling out all the great people that we've met as we built the community in the show here. So as we finish, I want to say thank you to the people that have supported the show. And you can support the show on Twitch, again, with a link, sync your Prime account. It's the best way. It doesn't cost you an extra penny at all. And then you can send me $2.49 a month. It's super easy. I thought it was a fantastic thing. There's a lot of Amazon Prime accounts out there. I think if you're on a family account, it works too. So let's say you're on your parents' family account, or you share one with your brother or something like this. You can still, I think you can still sub up to Prime. So do all that. Link your Prime account with your Twitch account and then sub up. So anyway, these are the people that have done that, and also pledged actual cash money, which you can do as well, straight there through Amazon. And you can also do that on the podcast as well. Anyway, I want to say thank you to these folks, because thank you very much. Again, it makes it a ton easier to do when it helps me pay the bills. The phone line costs money, hosting the podcast costs money, everything costs money. Nothing's free, and so it does help pay the bills, and it does. It's no big deal. I can afford it. It's not like that, but it does help that I think that maybe a glimmer in my eye, maybe one day we'll break even, and that would be sweet. That would be really sweet. So, okay, thank you to these people that has contributed to the show. And let's see. Let me bring the list here. Where is it? Oh, come on. Did I lose it? I think I lost it. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, here we go. So I'm playing this. This is a Star Wars crawl. If you want to be part of this Star Wars crawl, this extra special, I made this up just for the folks that supported the show. I'll read them off as they go. This is what we're talking about. We're done here, but thank you very much to these folks. Thank you, everybody else, for being engaged. Thank you for the great chat. Thank you for joining the Discord. Thank you for the fantastic calls. Thank you again, like I said, for making this easy. It's I promise I would have quit a long time ago if it wasn't for all you fantastic people. So thanks again for all that. And here we go. Here's the Star Wars crawl for those of you that haven't seen it, and the outro music. All right. So thank you very much to the folks that have subbed up. And this show is funded by a decentralized freedom squad that answers only to ourselves. Corporate and political interests can jump off. Thank you to AJ Dare, Alien Nichan, Arc Platinum, Axel Steel 3, Dark Devious, FGC Spiral, Ident, Lizzie Dags, Monochromatic, Nikki Nix, Noble Kal-El, Often Frozen, Quint 67, Superbike 1, and Satan Claus. And with that, we're done for now. But that's okay. The bad news is we're done. The good news is we'll be back tomorrow. You're listening to Conspiracy News with Michael Strange. And if you want something to be on the news and to be talked about on stream, just send me the link. You guys know what to do. TroubledMindsRadio@gmail.com or join the Discord, troubledminds.org. Send me the links. We'll get them on the show. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Thanks for doing... thanks for all the things. Thanks for making it easy. We'll Michael Strange signing out. We will see you tomorrow.